Good afternoon. Anna Zugari here. If you haven't, we haven't met yet. My name is Anna Zugari, and I'm just a basic girl with a little extra. And the purpose of my live streaming is just to bring you a little bit of encouragement, a little bit of inspiration, or an extra laugh because most of the time I don't know what I'm doing. So just forgive me if I have any technical difficulties. We're going to try to do our best. You're in for a treat today because I have a super, super awesome guest. But before I introduce her, I want to invite you to use the chat in the comments. Let us know where you're watching us from and how did you land it here. Anything, that you want to share with us if you have any questions as we go in through our chat and all that kind of stuff. I see already. Marcus, you're here and you're awake. Man, how do you do it? And Roy, third time in a row. Yes, I'm doing it, Marcus. Are you proud of me? Tech troublemaker. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much. Marcus is watching us from Switzerland. How about
Wow.
that? Okay, without any further ado, I'm just going to introduce my guest. She's a very, very special person to me because I think, besides that, God put her in my life to make me a better person. She is also an extraordinary therapist. So I want to read a little bit of her bio and then have her tell us a little bit about her. So just forgive me that I'm going to look on this side for a second. Stephany has been practicing therapy in Houston, Texas since 2018. Her personal mission is to equip those with broken spirits to find healing in pursuing of their best life. I can testify to that. She aspires to make an impact in thousands of lives and influence future generations. She fervently believes that therapy can produce healing in the flesh and God can heal the spirit. Both can lead to better mind, body, and a spiritual wellness and wholeness. She encourages clients to learn from their own struggles, discover their authentic self, and live a life of freedom, hope, and possibility. Oh my gosh. I think she wrote this based on me. Stephany, hi. Hello. Thank you
Hello.
so much for doing this. Thank you for being here.
It's
Guys,
my pleasure.
Stephany, my therapist. It is such a blessing to have you here.
Thank you. Well, I won't confirm or deny that. So,
Right. But I'll say it. So because I have had a transformation in my life because of your help. And this being the month of mental health, that's what
yeah.
it's called, right? This May.
Yeah. Mental Health
Um,
Awareness Month. Yeah.
yes, yes. I thought like, okay, if I am, being bold about speaking of my testimony of what Jesus has done for me, I should be bold again too of what Stephany has done for me. Yes,
I don't know if I can live up to all of that, but I will
right.
say that you're doing the work. So,
Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, Marcus is saying hello to you. Well, it's like 3 o'clock in the morning for
oh
Marcus.
my.
Yes. So,
Wow. Good
I'm
morning,
yes.
Marcus.
So he's such a trooper. He's a good friend. And I forgot to say, friends, if you're watching from Facebook, you might have a little saying on the top of your screen saying StreamYard allows you to give permission to see who you are on the comments. But if you want to just type your name, that's okay too. All right. So I want to make the best out of our time together. Do you want to
Yeah.
say a little bit about yourself?
Other than what you've already said, I'm originally from Chicago and I relocated to Houston 10 years ago uh, on what I thought was the heels of having a new job, but quickly realized after I got here that God was calling me to pursue my purpose, which
Mm,
was becoming a therapist. So,
nice.
Yeah,
That's
so
so
I'm
good.
happy to be here. This is my second time, I think, speaking on mental health during the month of May. So thank you for having me.
You are very welcome. So
Yeah.
I'm just going to start with the questions, if you don't mind, because,
Sure.
um, and it's speaking, through my journey when we hear a lot about, hey, therapy will help you in so many ways. But I think, especially for people around my age,
Mm.
therapy was a taboo back in the days. If you had asked me to take therapy 5 years ago, 10
Mhm.
years ago, I would have said no. That's only for cuckoo people or drug addicts or whatever.
Sure.
And nowadays, after the pandemic, I think that this is one of the things that has left us with that we can be thankful for, because I
Mhm.
think we are more aware that a lot of us that seem healthy need
Yeah.
therapy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
what do you think are the things that we as normal people can look for? Like, do I really need therapy? Or how can they approach this, um, intention of like, yeah, I need help, but I'm embarrassed? Or what is the best way to have therapy?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I heard 2 things in there. I heard something about a myth, and then I also heard, how does one make a decision to accept therapy? So the first thing I wanna say is I wanna address the myth. Um, only crazy people do therapy. That's not true. I mean, you don't have to be delusional, suffer from hallucinations or, hearing voices in order to have therapy. More often than not, therapy clients are seeking healing and help just dealing with everyday issues. So I think that's
Mhm.
really important is to remind people that um, certain psychological disorders don't necessarily mean that that's the only reason why you should seek help. A lot of people have psychosocial stressors. So, having said that, one reason or a reason that you can make the decision to receive therapy is um, based on whether or not you've identified some issue or concern that you're dealing with or that you're struggling with, and you
Mm.
just really need help trying to sort it out. If it's taking up too much room in your head or too much space in your head, and if you're struggling with how to effectively handle a situation or deal with a problem, those are all really good reasons for pursuing therapy.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah, because sometimes we're not even aware that something is taking so much space in our head that we think it's normal. In my
Mhm.
case, I was struggling with something in my home, and I was refusing to accept that there was
Mm.
something really wrong.
Mhm.
And that was the first part. The second part was that I was blaming that other person
Mm.
completely and without taking any responsibility on it. So to me, that was eye opening. And I feel like there is a lot of times that because we grew up with certain things, we just think it's normal. And like, what are you talking about? That's me. That's how God made me. and
Yeah.
and I'm this is normal, and it is not normal. And it takes a little bit of intentionality, and I think also being brave, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. That's the first thing you see when you go to my website is brave becoming a new you. And I
Mm,
think that that's so important to this process because it's not easy to walk into a space or to sit in your living room or bedroom or wherever you're going to do it if you're doing telemental health. It's not easy to walk into a
mhm.
space and then open up and reveal your entire life to someone that you don't know,
Yes, that's true.
right?
And speaking from experience again, you
Yeah,
and I have never met, like, in
that is true.
person. We've never met before, and this is the beauty, I believe, and that's why I think I like live streaming so much too, because it has brought me together with to create a lot of relationships, like Marcus and Roy here in the chat, that there are friends that I have never met in
Mhm.
person, but
Wow.
I know them, they know me, like we're friends, and I know that if I needed something from them, I can call them, right? And
Yeah.
it's the same way that you and I feel we have that now relationship, that
Mhm.
I need to talk about this piece of information that happened to me and I don't know how to untangle it from my head. I can call Stephany.
Yeah, and I
you know,
I
to,
like that you're speaking about it like this because one of the things that I think is really important for anyone who's interested in therapy to know is that having a good rapport with the
mm,
therapist is going to do so much good for your therapeutic journey. So, if you have it, one of the ways that you can tell if it's a good fit for you is to go with how you feel when you have those initial conversations with the therapist. See what your gut reveals to you. See if you feel like, yeah, I can really talk to this person, or I feel like this person is really listening to me, or I think that, yeah, they do get it. They're able to understand what I'm saying and they can see a little bit more behind what I'm saying. All of those things are critical to finding a therapist and finding someone who you can build a good rapport with. And from there, you have the ability to open up and really talk more deeply about things. Because as I said before, just walking into a space and opening up and telling someone about your whole life and all your trauma is it's like taboo, right? Another myth
yeah,
is you never talk about what stays in the house, or what happens in the house stays in the house, right? So, and here
correct.
you are going against everything that you've been taught in order to brave becoming a new and
Yeah.
finding your way through kind of this life and all the stressors that come with it. So,
Yes, I love that you brought that up because I think that that's the good step, right? Like, okay, first, how do I define that I need help? Then,
yeah,
how do I find a good therapist? And the next one, it's how do I stay in therapy? Because I want to share that there was a point in the next, like probably 2 months, 2 or 3 months after we were in therapy, I was I was not doubting you, but like this woman doesn't, she doesn't care for me, and like the battle of the mind, right? Like you're helping me, but I'm not liking you because you're telling me the truth that I don't want to hear. And I feel that that's a lot of where people drop off and they're
yeah,
like, this is not a good therapist for me, or this is not working for me. And I see a lot of marriages that have, you know it's been 2 3 sessions and they give up and they're like, this is not helping. And I'm being honest, that happened to me. I'm like, this is not working for me, I don't need this anymore, like,
yeah,
you know and how do we make a comeback? Because I'm here to tell everybody that it gets really, really bad and nasty. But once that you pass that and
hmm
you start, oh, wait,
yeah,
this is
yeah,
going to help me.
yeah. One thing that's I think is important to know about going to therapy is that therapy is an investment in oneself.
Mhm.
Uh, so honesty and self confrontation are really the cornerstone to this process. And you shared an example about you and kind of what it was like for you in the beginning. And I was prepared to really speak on something similar to that, because um, clients come to therapy thinking that they're going to acquire self awareness, right?
Mhm.
So they come in and they get their self-awareness and they think, okay, I'm good. But
Yeah.
self-awareness does not translate into healthy behavior.
Mhm.
It does not translate to that. It simply translates into self-awareness.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so self-awareness doesn't solve the problem, is what I'm trying to say.
Mhm. Mm.
Self-awareness is only one part of growing in the therapeutic process. But
Yeah.
the other part of this is, you know, figuring out how to execute on what you have become aware of. So it's
Mhm.
when you become aware of something, right? What do you do with it now?
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
And people go, what do I do with that? I'm hearing all this. What do I do with that? Right? Your frustration, right?
Yeah.
And so the response that I have for them is, what do you want to do with it?
Mm.
It's pretty obvious that it's impacting who you are. It's impacting your functioning. It may be impacting your ability to have healthy relationships and really, sort through issues and deal with traumas. What do you really want to do with it? And that's part two of,
Mhm.
taking going to therapy. And that's the part that I think a lot of people struggle with, because I'm really putting the heat on you, not just
Yes.
to have self awareness, but to move you further along in the journey to what sort of actions do I now need to take for myself to pull up my functioning,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
What do I need to do? Right? I have this information. Now, how do I take this information and translate it into actionable steps and show up in my everyday life, in my relationships with other people? How do I have integrity with myself? How do I confront and show
Yeah.
up differently? Yeah.
Yeah, and touching on that part that you said is an investment for oneself. Uh, that was also part of the taboos that we had in the past, that was not affordable, and that only, rich people could have a therapist,
Yeah.
because that even sound cool, right? Like, oh, like only people in Hollywood will have therapists. But
Yeah.
I receive personal therapy and marriage therapy, and we haven't gone on vacation for 2 years. But I believe that this has been amazing for our marriage and for in a personal way, that that investment has been done towards our lives. That what are we becoming, that how are we breaking the patterns for the future generations, what are we leaving our kids with, and being more aware of what we're doing and how we're behaving and how are we parenting and how are we loving each other and all that kind of stuff. So I want to really encourage you, friends. And here's another thing that I discovered that we did not know until like 6 months in, that we were, or like, oh, how are we going to keep paying for this? Our insurance cover it, and we didn't know that. So
Yeah.
just please check your insurance, and if you're available, if you can do it, I strongly recommend it and suggest that
Yeah.
you call Stephany or somebody else, that
Yeah.
again, that you can find and that you can click with, and you
Mhm.
know, uh, that and
Yeah.
also, Stephany, I'm pretty sure that if you cannot take certain clients, you will be able to recommend somebody that right?
Yeah. Yes, I can definitely recommend if I can't take certain clients. I wanted to speak to another part of your
Yeah.
question from earlier, which was how do you find a
Yeah.
therapist? Because I think
Hmm.
that was
Of
something
course.
that you mentioned as well. And
Yeah.
so I just want to tell your viewers that a simple Google search would actually help you identify a good therapist. Or help you identify a therapist. I won't say I won't place the caveat of a good therapist on there because I can't speak for what they
Right.
would be like. But one of the things that I wanted to point out is, from from a media and kind of a nationwide thing, you know, your viewers might be familiar with BetterHelp or Talkspace. So those are two larger known platforms that, you know, people can go to find a therapist. But there are also some smaller platforms such as Sondermind, Alma, and Headway. And I
Mm.
actually am affiliated with Headway. And so what's cool about those is that it those platforms connect clients to therapists, and they also work with the therapists themselves to be able to help the therapist get credentialed so that the therapist can then offer insurance through their platform, through their company.
Oh,
So
got it.
Sondermind, Alma, and Headway are some other options. Likewise, there are many, many, many directories out there. So a simple Google search of, you know, therapists or how to find a therapist, you'll get all sorts of directories. But the largest directory that I'm aware of is Psychology Today, and so they're a good resource. And there's also others like Therapy Den. I believe there's one about Black girls in therapy. So there are a lot of different ones that exist out there. And on these platforms, on these directories, the therapist pays a nominal fee to basically have, you know, their profile put up on that site, you know, so that people can have
Mm.
access to, you know, finding out a little bit more about them, their therapeutic approach, like how much do they charge, where their offices are located, and things like that. So their Psychology Today is the world's largest mental health directory out there right now. So, and then the last thing that I would say about how to find a good therapist is really through referrals. And I just want to take a minute and say that I want to say thank you to all of the people who have referred clients to me because, um, you know, I think that it says something, you know, referrals are your greatest compliments in some ways. So,
Yeah.
and word of mouth is really key. So, those are
Yeah.
just some of the ways that I think your viewers could also find a therapist.
Yes. And
Mhm.
I grabbed some of those. I put it on my notes, but we'll put it on the show notes if anybody, oh, I didn't catch that. We can put them on the notes there for you. And um, the time is just flying. But before, we're going down into more. Uh, Practical questions, like practical things that people can do um, to begin a journey. Like they're watching us right now and they say, like, you know what? I have been thinking about therapy, or somebody has mentioned therapy, but
Mhm.
what are like three things that they can do in order to say, like, yeah, I want to start this journey. What can I start doing on my own to get there? Do you have
Yeah,
anything for them?
I do.
For-
I would say believe in your own inner resiliency. That's
Mm,
really important. As human beings, we have incredible resiliency. And so trusting in your ability to work through the darkness and the tough places and know that the more work you put in, the more self confrontation you put in, the more honest you are about what happened, uh, the closer you can get towards the light and
mm,
really being able to find some healing there, right? Another thing that I would say is trust that your brain has neuroplasticity
oh, I love that.
as you take on a growth mindset. So trust that your brain has the ability to change throughout the course of your life, and your brain can be changed even at this age, whatever that age is. What you've gone through does not have to become who you are, right?
Yes.
You can change, and your brain is so sophisticated, and there's so much about it that we don't know. And it has all this amazing power and all these neurons and receptors and all of these things that if you just trust it, you can change.
Mm,
And then just I always like to plug self-care as like the third practical thing. So when you talk about your journey to a healthier mind, I would say that things like meditation and yoga are really good.
mm, mhm.
Doing breath work,
Yes.
just learning how to breathe, breathing
Mhm.
through things, right? Allowing your nervous system to work through uh, whatever whatever is coming up, right? So
Yeah.
whatever symptoms, or it's not symptoms, that's not the right word I want to use, but whatever comes up in the body, just trusting that your body can work through it.
Mm.
The body has a natural drive to want to work through something, and if we just give it the space to be able to do that, I believe that you can definitely um, work through it. So
Yes, yes. So
yeah.
I think it's that combination that we hear all the time about mind, body, and spirit, I believe. But it's
Mhm.
one thing that we listen to it, and another thing to actually put it
Yeah.
on a in a practical way. But I also love because I just learned not long ago about neuroplasticity, and
Mhm.
how we hear that saying of like what is it, old dog can't learn new
Can't teach an
tricks.
old Yeah, you can't teach
Yeah,
an old dog new tricks,
and
yeah.
that's such a lie.
Yeah. Well, there are tons of myths out there about old
Yeah,
colloquialisms that we often talk about or speak about. They're just simply
right.
not true, yeah.
Yes, but in this afternoon, actually, I was talking to my husband about this because we're just talking about things as we cooking dinner, and I say, I just don't get people that can say, okay, I'm just gonna take therapy, but they don't have any spiritual practice. And I don't mean to impose my particular spiritual practice, but I've listened to therapists on podcasts and stuff, and they always throw in there the meditation, or just pray to your higher being. And I'm like, you mean God? Like, just, yeah,
Yeah.
because we need that, right? So I think
Mhm.
there's another myth, and this is not on my prep questions, but it just popped up, that
Yeah.
you know the myth of science being against religion and vice versa. And I think in this case, doing therapy and my religion have supported one another and have helped me immensely to that neuroplasticity that I can see now that my brain was doing. And I said, no, this is the way I am, and I'm not going to change. And then I look at the Bible story about Saul then becoming Paul, and
Mm,
I'm like,
mhm.
"Ooh, wait a minute, there it
Mhm.
is,"
Mhm.
And then it took him about we when we read it on the Bible, we just think like, "Oh, the like him," and boom, the next day he was Paul, and he wasn't Saul
Mhm.
anymore. But it actually took him a couple of years to
Yeah,
get there. And I'm like,
yeah.
well, if he did it, I can do it. If I
Sure.
believe in that faith, that it's
Mhm.
also, with my therapist and
Yeah,
my spiritual journey,
yeah,
then I am faithfully believing that I'm not going to go to my old ways
yeah.
as we do this.
I had a client who, uh, I was seeing them for, about a year, and, uh, they had gotten to a really good place, and they were listening to a podcast, and
Mhm.
after listening to this podcast, that podcast triggered a memory of an assault,
Mm.
and so here this person is thinking, "Wow," like, um, I after a year, like, I should be done, right? Like,
Mhm.
I've made my transition, or I'm making my transition, but then all of a sudden something new comes up. So what I'm trying to say here is, allow therapy to do its work.
Mm. Yeah. Yes.
There is the client who does their work, and the process of therapy does its work too.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
together, those two things can help move a person into healing and
Yeah.
recovery, like whatever that's going to look like for them.
Yeah.
So knowing that a transformation is not overnight, it's not
Right.
3 weeks, it's not short term. It might
Mhm.
take some people a year, it may
Mhm.
take some people 2 years, and there are
Yeah.
some people who've been in therapy for many years. Some
Right.
people have indicated that this is part of their wellness,
Mhm. Exactly.
right?
Exactly. That's
Mhm,
oh my gosh, I think that is so important because sometimes we think like, "Oh, I just take 6 months of therapy and then I'll be fine," and then but, what my goal, and I haven't said this to you in
mhm,
therapy, but my goal is to visit with you regularly,
mhm,
as I feel that I'm improving.
mhm.
I it's like going to the gym or eating fruits and vegetables, you know?
Yeah, it's like
Uh,
taking a vitamin.
exactly,
Oh,
exactly.
yeah.
So it's a journey, and yes, and I think the last myth that I'm gonna talk about is that people that going to therapy looking at, oh, in 6 months we're gonna be done, or a year, like you said, this is gonna be the
Mhm.
transformation, and if it took Paul about 3-4 years, I
Yeah.
mean, you
Yeah.
know, and I think that's also part of the process, and as I am incorporating my Bible learning in here, is that God wants us to take our time to be
Yes.
actually cured or
Yes.
healthy, because
Right.
he
Yeah.
does make miracles, but sometimes those miracles take a while.
Take time. I
Yeah.
wanna add to that. I also think in taking therapy for oneself, um, learning how to hold compassion
Mm. Yes.
simultaneously with all the hard stuff that's gonna come up.
Yes.
Because if you hold judgment in
Mm.
place of compassion with all
Yeah.
the hard stuff that's gonna come up, all you're gonna do is walk away beating yourself up even more.
Yes. Yep.
So I am all about the both and.
Mhm.
These are gonna be some really hard things that you talk about, and it's okay to extend kindness and compassion to yourself at the same
Yes.
time. It
Mhm.
takes courage, it takes bravery to actually open yourself up to a stranger and
Right.
talk about things that maybe you've never told anyone,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
So just inviting people to keep that in mind and having compassion, self-compassion is
Yes.
really
Yes.
important. Yeah.
Yes. Woof. This has been really good. Thank you so much. And we're over 5 minutes, and I don't mind. I hope you don't
Sorry.
either.
Okay,
No,
I'm
no,
so
no.
sorry. A little
I'm
long-winded.
I'm fine with it. I could stay here until it's 3 o'clock in the morning, so we can pair up with Marcus. But but I know you also had a long day. But usually to close with my guest, I like to do 5 rapid fire questions just for fun. So are
Okay,
you up for that?
I am. Let's see. I don't know how quickly my brain's gonna work, but I'll try.
Okay, so here comes the first one. What was the last thing you ate that was super yummy?
Today I had a chicken spinach salad with
Mm.
strawberries, feta cheese, and blueberries, and it was
Wow, that does sound really yummy. What's your favorite color?
what's my favorite color? Oh, gosh. I'll tell you, I'm into this jewel tone green right now. So,
Hmm.
in this season
Okay.
of my life, that's my favorite color.
You know what I just thought? I was like, Huh, how does it feel to be on the other side when I'm asking you the questions?
Yeah, it's tough answering on the spot.
Do you own a pet?
Oh, I don't, but I love dogs. My
Okay.
family owns a dog, and hello, Apollo, if you're out there listening.
Well, mine, it's sometimes I feel like gifting it. So if you really want one, oh my gosh. Um, what's your favorite movie?
Ooh, that one is easy. Twister. The
Really?
movie Twister. I don't know what it is about that movie other than the, reconnecting, putting back together what was broken, you know?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I love that movie.
Huh. I have to go watch it again. I watched it a long time ago. I have to remember the whole plot and everything.
Yeah.
But all right. And the last one. Do you have a favorite Bible verse?
Oh, yes. It would be Romans 8:28. For we know that
Mm,
all things work together for the good of those who believe and
mm.
who are called according to his purpose.
Awesome. I love
Yeah.
it. I love it so much that I just wrote a blog on that one. But
Oh,
it's a good one. I think it takes
yeah.
everything that we need right there.
Yeah.
Well, Stephanie, thank you so, so much. I can't thank you enough for doing this. And friends, if you're still in the chat, just I hope that you are blessed as much as I was today. And if you have any questions, just direct message me, leave them in the comments, and I'll pass it on to Stephanie. Or you can actually, if you're interested, yes, I put her website link on the chat also,
Mhm.
if you want to go check it out. I have let me here's also her
Yeah.
information. If you have your phone with you, you can scan that barcode and it'll take you directly to her website. And again, if you need more information, let us know. I'll be happy to help. And Stephanie, I have something for you before you leave. Let me pull it out here. Here we go. I got confetti.
Yay! I love it. That's so cool. Thank you
Yes.
so much. It's been
You
such an
are very
honor.
welcome. And the best part is that we don't have to clean it up.
So true, so true. Oh, thank you so much
Uh,
for having me on your show. I really appreciate it.
you are very welcome. Again, it's been a pleasure and a blessing. Friends, thank you so much. If you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, thank you so much. And don't forget to subscribe. I'm 10 people away from my 100 subscribers on YouTube. So if you haven't, go subscribe. If you like the stream, leave a comment. If you don't like it, don't say anything. Okay?
Yeah, yeah.
All right,
All right.
friends. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. We'll see
Okay.
you next time.
All right.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Bye-bye.